What's going on, everybody? I got Mike from Herp Collectors on the show tonight. If you don't know Mike, you should. If you do know Mike, then you already know why you're here. Stick around. I always look forward to doing these shows with my old friend Mike from Gainesville. Let's get right to it. What's up, everybody? Thank you for being here. It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast. I'm adjusting some sound. Sorry. 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 7 o'clock here in Minnesota. Thank you for being here. It's Proper Royals Live, brought to you ad-free. If you're watching live, you didn't have to sit through an ad to join live. And if you're watching on the replay, just listening, podcast, Proper Royals, bliss for you. All brought to you by Palm Street and the other kind advertising partners of the show. So if you're interested in selling on Palm Street or learning more about it, check out the application to sell reptiles on Palm Street down below. I recommend it. Speaking of which, June... now I got myself in trouble. Yeah, June 29th. June 29th, I'm going to do another Palm Street auction. And everybody loves a deal. I've decided I'm calling this one 20 for 20. I'm going to do 20 snakes that we start the bids at $20 on. And I promise you, they're not like maybe one or two. Most of them aren't $20 snakes, but it's that time of year. We've heard breeders say it. I got to make space. I have hatchlings coming. And fact is, it's time for somebody to get a deal. So mark your calendars. I don't know what time of day. That's a Sunday. I'll do it in the afternoon so we can all enjoy our evenings and all of that. But I'll do it Sunday afternoon, 20 snakes, $20 starting bid on Palm Street. So if you don't have the app, go ahead and get it downloaded. I'm giving you 12 days notice to plan accordingly. So welcome. I got Mike from Herp Collectors on the show tonight. I'll talk about that in just a moment. A couple other really, really quick announcements. I misspoke at the end of last week's show. Shane from Small Town Exotics is on next week. Mike is tonight. Tune in next week. Shane from Small Town Exotics. You know who I'm talking about. All you locals out there, people always ask me, where can we see you play music and that stuff? Like, it's so weird when people find that you do one thing and then they find you do something else. They want to leap from world to world. Like the people in the music are like, what's all this snake stuff? And the snake people are like, where do we go see you play music? So all you locals in Minnesota, Egan Arms, it's actually a British pub, but Egan Arms Pub, that's down in Egan, June 28th. I'll be there from 5:30 until 9 p.m. 3.5 hour gig. Pete's sake, you'll get plenty of me. Come on out for that if you like. Summertime gig, outdoor on the patio, summer evening in Minnesota. You can't beat that. All you non-local but regional folks in South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, they've added a second show for this year. The first one was such a good smash hit, and I'm not even being facetious about that. It was a fantastic show. September 28th, they've added a second show, and I am confirmed and paid for that, so I will be at that show as well. Not playing music, I'll be selling snakes. And by then, man, the hatchling train will be rolling along. There's going to be some banging stuff there. I promise you that. Speaking of banging stuff, I had 7 eggs hatched this week it was clown to clown, and then it was mahogany and leopard orange dream. So mahogany clown by leopard orange dream. Those all hatched this week, and 5 of the 7 are out of the eggs. I don't think there's any normal clowns in there. It's a cool clutch. So I'll probably keep a 1.1, maybe a 1.2. I might get greedy, but probably a 1.1. Everything else will be available, but Patreon gets the first dibs. So if you're not in the Patreon and you want to be, it starts at $7 a month, worth your while. Check that out. And if not, those will hit the airwaves on Instagram before it ever gets to Morph Market or before we go to any shows. So, Mahogany, Leopard, Orange Dream combos, all 100% visual clowns. And then this week coming up, it's kind of a boring clutch because I know what everything is going to be. It's going to be all candy het pieds, but if you need candy het pieds, let me know. These are not Candinos. These are candy het pieds. There is a possibility, not a possibility, there is pastel in the mix. So half of them should be pastel. That's what's going on in Proper Royals world. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, for being here. Sorry, I was looking to see. This is why I don't look at. I try and engage the camera, and then I go looking at the comments, and I get distracted. A big congratulations to Quentin. Man, I'm pumped for you. You got Quentin's been working on some clutches really since I've moved up here to Minneapolis. I had nothing to do with it. I'm not taking any credit for any of this, but I'm happy for you, Quentin. Quentin was one of the first people I met when he was working at Twin City Reptiles when I first moved up here and went into the shop. So I'm pumped for you, man. I did get your pictures. I'll get in touch with you. I'll give you a call back. So thanks everybody for hanging out. Mike at Herp Collectors. Mike and I, it's a pretty cool thing because we kind of started our, I've given up. I just call it a podcast, but live show, conversations, whatever you want to call it. We started our podcast at pretty much the same time. I actually don't know who had the first one. It doesn't matter. And we got to know each other. And Mike always kind of clicked with me with Mike because I think he had the same idea, or maybe I got the idea from him. I'm not trying to take any credit here. What I'm saying is I think we both saw a lane for kind of focused, purposeful. We want it to be entertaining, but we're also digging for education and content and bits of knowledge in the content. And there was a really, really big lane for that at the time that wasn't really filled in the reptile podcast space. And I couldn't believe it. I got going, and then I run into Mike doing his thing on the internet. I'm like, man, he's doing, it's different. We're not doing the same thing, but the root idea was pretty similar. And I'm happy to say that I don't feel like there's ever been any like unhealthy competition between us. I feel like we've always looked out for each other. When I got to move back to Florida, Mike was in Gainesville. He came and vended with me a time, maybe or two, but I always saw him on the show circuit in Florida. And we always kind of pushed each other, bounce ideas off of each other, talk smack behind the scenes sometimes, and just pick each other's brains. It's been a really, really cool relationship. We talk about relationships and communities all the time. So I got Mike back tonight. Since the last time he was on the show, I couldn't check the date exactly. I know the last time he was on the show was in January of 2024. So it's been almost a year and a half, but I can't remember if he was just getting the network off the ground or had not gotten it off the ground yet. So we're going to dive into this network. I have lots of questions about the network, the results, the ROI, the purpose, the wins, the losses, all of that kind of thing. I want to dig in on that. And I realized Mike and I talk so much about our shows and equipment and business. We're going to go back to some snakes tonight for Pete's sake. Let's just get back to what brought us into this in the first place. So please welcome back to the Proper Royal stage. I believe this is the third show that Mike has been the main guest on. Please welcome back Mike Johnson from Herp Collectors. Mike, how you doing, man?
What's up, man? How's it going?
It is good, man. It's good. I can't believe you even bother making time for another show these days. You got so much going on, man.
Oh, no, man. Anytime you ask, I'm going to make it happen.
I appreciate you very, very much. Your backdrop looks good. I haven't seen that one before, man.
Appreciate it. It's just some acoustic sound panels and then obviously brand colors, but it helps a little bit with the sound, I think.
Yeah, it does sound good. For all the nerds out there, what equipment are you running through tonight? What microphone you using? You got any audio interface? What do you got going on?
So I got the Rodecaster Pro 2, and then the microphone is a SM7B. I think that's the model number for
that's
the microphone.
The one.
Is that the
sure?
one? And then I'm running EOS 90D for the cam, like with the light and whatnot.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. Is EOS the camera, or what did you? I'm not sorry, you lost me on that. That's above my head on what you just said there.
Yeah, it's the camera. It's a Canon, and it's an older model. It's not like that new. Like I think it might have came out in 2016-ish or something like that. Don't
Yeah.
quote me on that date, but I mean it works for what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have the Canon EOS. I think mine's the what's the M series? M50?
Okay.
I don't know. It just says EOS on the front of it. That's the one I always tell the story. Steven was telling me about cameras, and I was like, "Look, man, I don't know what any of this means. I just need a good camera." And this isn't an exact quote, but it's how the story has evolved. But he was like, "Oh, the best camera for the dumbest people is the Canon M50." I'm like, "Perfect. Give me that thing, man.
That's the one I want.
That's what I want. I want to set it and forget it and move on." And I've been thrilled ever since. So yeah, that's a Canon M50, and I think it's the version 2, Mark II or whatever they call it. But
Gotcha.
That's the one. How do you like that Shure microphone?
I love it, man. I've had it for like, I don't know, like 2.5, 3 years now. Maybe not quite that long, but over 2 years for sure. And I love it.
Yeah, they're a good chunk of change, but then everything's relative. And then I'm like, well, that's the same price as the snakes that people are like, I'm not going to bother with snakes that cheap. Like it's,
yeah, I think I remember you
300, 250, something like that.
I think I remember you telling me a story about a Shure microphone. Cause don't you got one of those in your setup that you've had for probably over a decade now, right?
Yeah. Oh, Mike, I bought that used in 1998 from the Independent Florida Alligator Classifieds, my man.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was used then, and it's still the one. Now that's a stage microphone, the SM58. That's the vocal microphone that you see. I mean, to this day, I was watching the Grammys. They still using the SM58. I watched the Grammys tribute to the Beach Boys the other night. John Legend singing through an SM58. I was joking with my dad. The problem is that they're too good. I bought a used one, and now I'm coming up on 30 years that I've had it, and I don't even carry a backup. Like they could have taken, if they lasted like 12 years and then crapped out, I would buy a new one every 12 years, and they could have taken more money off of me. But what's the now that one's that's not a stage mic. That one's specifically like condenser podcast focus. Is that true or not? Or do you know?
I don't know if it's necessarily podcast focused. I think it's pretty versatile. Like you see like a lot of podcasters using it.
Right.
Chris uses it.
Yep.
Joe Rogan uses it. A lot of big time podcasters, much bigger than myself, they use it. I've read somewhere on the internet, I think like Michael Jackson used basically this version of the microphone to record Thriller.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I think it's a studio like room, like a condenser room mic, but it might be, again, to get really nerdy, it might be directional rather than like the whole room kind of thing. Like this
I think it's definitely directional.
Okay.
You tell me, is it directional?
Give it one more go.
Testing.
Test.
Testing.
Yeah, I can't see it on the screen. Is it in front of you right now?
It's in front of me right now.
Okay, yeah, okay. So it's a little directional then. Yeah,
Okay.
this one's actually a room mic. I have to actually watch how I have the levels on the Focusrite that I can watch and make sure I'm not overdriving it. But it's pretty sensitive. But anyhow, how's life in Gainesville going for you, man?
Man, pretty good. Been super busy with work and whatnot. Just kind of balancing all that stuff. But overall, man, can't complain. Happy to be alive.
Isn't it? So not to get all like philosophical and pat ourselves on the back, but isn't it so easy to forget like how happy we should just be to wake up every day? Like,
yeah, to wake up, to be able to move, just all of that.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad you said it that way, man. Like I forget that sometimes, man. And I forget to like, I don't know. I'll complain to my wife. I didn't get this done or this. She was like, did any members yell at you? Did somebody get mad about their steak? Who called out on you today? I was like, nobody. She's like, I know, it's great. Yeah. I'm like, it's wonderful, you know? So I think I forget that sometimes. I did a cool, in the show prep last night, I did a cool little exercise with my Chat GPT assistant. I took the transcripts of all the shows we've ever done together.
Nice.
One on your show, 2 on mine. And I asked ChatGPT to put together a little timeline of you and I and our like evolution and growth according to what we were talking about. And it gave me a little chart here. So I thought maybe I'd run through that, because now maybe this ChatGPT thing is just playing to the audience, which was me. And it was like, wow, we got to make these two sound smart. But I thought it was pretty cool, man. So here's what it said about us. So I think it was January, but early 2022, it says the focus was about launching and legitimacy. So launch and legitimacy. We both laid the groundwork with branding, shows, and early content. We were learning to present professionally. That's what it says. I did not read all the transcripts or watch 5 hours of shows last night. I have to admit that. The second one was middle of 2023. It says the focus was scaling and strategy. And then the commentary was both began refining operations, measuring ROI, tightening project scope, and discipline became what we thought would become our future edge or our future differentiators. I was like, this is pretty good. This
sounds about right. Yeah.
This sounds like this has got a nice ring to it here. Then early 2024, the focus was sustained execution. And then the commentary was you both hit rhythm in breeding and content. Brand equity grew through consistency, not hype. Shows, sales, and podcasting matured. I was like, man, if I were to draw it up, that's what we would want, man. That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
So it made me happy. As I said, when you were backstage, man, it's been really cool to see you grow. It's been cool to know that I can call you and you pick up the phone, and maybe it's 6 months that goes by, and sometimes it's 6 days that goes by and we catch back up, but it's always cool to catch up, man. So, I only have water in here, but cheers. I'm glad we're both sitting here doing our thing this time later, you know?
Yeah, man. That definitely sounds just about right. Like, I don't remember the exact dates, but just thinking about in terms of the logical progression, like I remember like those becoming like ideas that I know myself personally, like I really embodied and pushed on and talked about and stuff like that. So it's cool to hear like that little quick summary of kind of like how that mapped out from a timeline perspective. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat to see. And it doesn't mean that I'm sure, well, maybe you would say different. I certainly wouldn't say I did everything perfectly. And I certainly learned.
Not at all. Not at all.
I certainly learned along the way, but those were a lot of the aha points where I was like, okay, either that worked and I'm going to keep doing it, or that didn't work and I better fix it and do it this way pretty quickly, you know?
100%. And like myself, just my natural personality type, I will take something on that's challenging, like in the immortal words of Will Smith, bite off more than I can chew, and then chew it.
And then chew it. There you go.
Right.
I like that.
And then kind of get comfortable with it. And then, all right, now it's time for the next thing. So let me make myself uncomfortable again.
You know, that's interesting, because that actually is absolutely something I do. And and maybe it's both from we both spent a fair amount of time in restaurants. I made a comment in the Patreon chat the other day, and some of that conversation stays private because it's in the Patreon and everybody knows each other. So it's not 100% personal, but it's also not just like public stuff. So I won't give the full context, but my comment was, I wrestle with not being in chaos or in panic. Like, restaurants programmed me that if we were like chill and calm and everything was going perfectly smooth, that must have meant we were overstaffed and we were wasting labor, or business was slow. Either way, we needed to cut people down and get them out of there until we were at a point of chaos. And like, even as a manager, I remember being like, if there's nothing for me to solve or fix, what's my value? Like, I came to like value that madness and that chaos. And one of my performance reviews one time, after I'd gone into the private club world, and I really resented it, and I still sort of do, but there's still a little bit of truth to it, was Adam is not good at maintaining. He's always looking for what the next thing is. And I'm like, well, yeah, you know, I was 32. I wasn't stopping. I mean, I had life to live and to go on, but it's kind of what you're talking about. So now, like, I make a focused effort, like, all right, I got things going the way I want. Do I want to take something on, which is what's programmed into me, and find some chaos, or do I just don't want to really, really refine what I have going on? And that's a tough balance, man.
Yeah, 100%. Like for me personally, I think I'm kind of in that refinement stage, right? So did the one show, Clutch Conversations, and just, that was the only show for a long time, right? 150 plus episodes. I don't know where we were when we started doing the network stuff, but then the network was always in the plans. It's funny. I don't know if you remember Gershon. You remember Gershon from BP Snakes?
You know what? I got to say one, I started to interrupt. I got to say one thing. I saw that he was the very first guest on your show on Clutch Conversations when I was going back last night. I remember Gershon very, very well. I think his show was the first like guest spot that I did where he had me on.
Oh, nice.
And it was like a new breeders or a breeder showcase, and it was something he did like every week. He always got like 2 or 3 new people on that could talk about themselves. Great dude. I've not kept up with him. I know I don't know all the circumstances, but I know that he essentially got out. I hope he's well though. If you ever talk to him, give him my best though, man, for sure.
Yeah, he's doing well. I talk to him. I won't say like on the regular, but I talk to him every couple months or so.
I think about him because I drive through and I vend in Wisconsin a lot, and I don't remember. I know he's in Wisconsin, but I don't remember where. And I'm like, one of these days, man, I'm gonna run into Gershon, man. And but yeah, he's a special guy. So I'm sorry I cut you off. You were saying that you started the network, and then you asked if I remembered Gershon.
Oh yeah, no need to apologize, man. Anytime we can give Gershon his flowers, it's a good thing. I actually just talked to him this past Sunday because it was Father's Day, and so cool. We exchanged some messages and whatnot. Yeah. But I brought up Gershon because maybe, I don't know, 6, 9, 12 months ago, I don't remember exactly how long it was, but I was looking back at like one of the old episodes, and I was talking about kind of the initial thoughts about a network then and just kind of expanding more. And so it's so nice to see like that sort of thing come full circle. The reason I say that I'm in the refinement stage right now is because doing the multiple shows, it's a lot different than just being responsible for your own show. Because, you know, like for you, like, for example, with your show, you're doing your show, you're committed to doing your show. You've kind of got like your own rhythm. You've got your own process, this, that, and the third. Inherently, you open yourselves up to other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Just because of bringing guests on the show, right? And so life happens. Life is going life. We're all adults. We're all busy adults. There's other things. There's just like a ton of factors that are involved with like other people. You know what I mean? Just working with other people is a natural part of it. And this isn't like an indictment on working with other people or anything. I'm just talking about the nature of like working with other people.
It's the reality of it. Yeah.
It's the reality of it. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And so with the shows, having multiple shows, now you've got like other hosts, and so those are other people, and then they've got guests, those are other people. So there's like a lot of dynamics to work around and to manage. And so I don't know if I fully kind of put that math in my overall formula, right? And just really thought it through like as practically as possible.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like some of the stuff that like I do behind the scenes, like I'm doing like a lot of the production and stuff like that. And then the hosts, they're going out there and they're having like a damn good show, right? Not because of the production, but just because of the work that they're putting in is what I'm saying. I do want to kind of get out of the space of doing a lot of the quote unquote administrative stuff so I can free up my time to focus more on strategy.
Yeah. So we didn't jump the gun. You beat me to it. Take us back a little bit. Give us some stats. How many shows you running? How many collaborators, other hosts do you have? And then you talked a little bit about it, but yeah, I mean, you're giving up creative control because even if you lay an outline of what you expect, They're live. It's the person's going. I mean, short of just like crashing the show, which is even worse than getting through it and talking about it afterwards. Like short of just crashing and burning, like your brand is in their hands. And we both were in restaurant management, so we know a little bit about that. We train somebody and we send them to a table, and it's not like we're babysitting them the whole time, but that's different. That was for another company. Herp Collectors is you. You are Herp Collectors. That's your baby. And I'll be the first to admit, I ain't giving proper royals away. There's nobody. I'm not slapping that brand on anybody else. And that's in my own head and my own problems that I have. But talk through some of that. Where did how many other people you work? And like you say, it's not an indictment. These are awesome people you're working.
Oh yeah. Amazing people.
Yeah.
Big shout out to the whole network. Yeah. Everybody in front of the cam and behind the cam. So real quick though, on the like opening up the brand to like multiple people. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I do like to think about things like and take a risk-based approach with things. And so that is a risk, opening up your brand, having someone represent your brand that you've like poured so much time, money, effort, love, blood, sweat, tears, like the whole nine into. So that is a risk. And so one way to mitigate that risk is in the selection of people you bring in. It's just like hiring somebody for a company and, you know, and doing the necessary vetting. And so I strategically only approach people who I felt like would represent the brand well. In terms of giving up kind of like the creative side of it, or just kind of like them doing like their own kind of creative way. Like I personally encourage that. I don't want like all the shows to be like Clutch Conversations clones, because like why come watch that show? Like even if we're talking about a different species, if it's just exactly Clutch Conversations, then why come watch it? And so I want like people to be more creative and kind of put their own spin on it. To answer your answer your question about what shows we have right now. So we've got 6 shows total. We've got obviously Clutch Conversations with myself as the host. We've got Double Clutch with me and Matt from Ebony and Ivory Reptiles. We do that every other Saturday. Then we've got Chondro Corner, and so it's weekly, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so Ro and Jen alternate.
Okay.
So Ro does it every other week, Jen does it on the other weeks, and so it's a weekly show, but the hosts rotate every other week.
Okay.
We've got Retic Rundown with Joe, and so he does that every other week. And then we've got Grow House with Veronica from, of course, Palm Street. You know, represent.
Yeah.
Are you on the Palm Street app? If not, you need to be on the Palm Street app.
Check it out.
So she does Grow House, which is pretty cool, and it's definitely different. And there's a lot of overlap just naturally between like the plant community and the reptile community and exotic pets in general community. Mm-hmm. And then if you like listen to some of the folks on there, like, and them talking about kind of their challenges, like their pain points, the things that make them happy, the things that make them excited, and just kind of the market dynamics, you see a lot of similarities between the exotic pets world and the exotic plants world. Like it's really kind of one and the same in a lot of ways, just different. I don't want to say product, but different things made available for people to buy. And then last but not least, we've got Morph Map with Tommy from Inky Clouds and Brian from Heathen Hatchery. And they focus each episode on a specific gene. They bring in people who work with the genes. They do a lot of behind the scenes work to kind of put together like slideshows and get visual examples of the animals, so you can like really see what the person's talking about. And I really like that dynamic. And so those are the shows that we have currently.
Very nice. One thing comes to mind in my management career, which I'm happy to be out of. The only thing worse than managing employees was managing volunteers. How does that go? Because of these, and I'm assuming they're volunteers. Maybe there's some equity they get or a pay. I don't know. And that's not my business. I'm assuming it's largely volunteer, because if nothing else, I know how little YouTube pays. So if it's not volunteer, it's damn near volunteer. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So obviously it's definitely different dynamics. There's opportunity to make money. I mean, obviously not the YouTube money, because the YouTube money is not a lot, but there's opportunities and sponsorships and kind of other opportunities and opening doors for you. I know me personally, a lot of doors that were open for me in this space were because of the show and kind of getting in front of the right people and getting out there, meeting people, like all that good stuff. Like the show has opened up a ton of opportunities. In fact, like some was just bounced off me. I won't speak to the specifics because I haven't made a final determination.
Oh yeah,
and I know for a fact you know what I'm talking about.
I might have had a little something bounce my way too.
I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so if you know, you know. But that's just an example, right?
If I get a vote in the Johnson household, you should say yes is what would be my vote.
Okay. Yeah.
But before we distract the audience with whatever we even may or may not be cooking up, what you just said is one of the most important things anybody could think of. Whether you start a podcast or however you do it, however you could find a way to connect with as many people on like an in-depth, actually meet them conversation, whether it's meet in person or remotely, the more people that you could spend time with that you respect in this industry, the more opportunities are going to come your way, man. Just from sitting here with one ring light, one little Canon camera, my old microphone, and in front of some snake racks, it's unreal the opportunities that have come my way. Absolutely incredible.
100%. It's all about just kind of getting out there, networking, getting to know people. People work with people that they like, and it's hard for someone to like you if you don't give them an opportunity to get to know you. And so this is one of the platforms that you can use to give people an opportunity to get to know you, whether it's inviting them on the show and talking with them directly, or even by virtue of someone just listening to you on the show.
Yeah. That I was going to ask you, what's the value proposition to your hosts? And you've covered that a little bit. What do you think that they like? What do you think that they bring, or not? What do they bring? Why, again, I guess what's the value proposition to signing on with Mike versus them just starting? I mean, with technology and access today, there's very little boundary or barrier to entry into a podcast or show, or again, for lack of a better word, whatever we want to call it, but a podcast. How do those conversations go when you have those with people?
I think it's the team dynamic that's big, right?
Oh,
and so, when I started, it was really kind of mostly solo, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like there were people who I knew in the industry that were also doing it, but we weren't doing it on a team, so to speak.
No.
Whereas like when you're doing it with a network, it's a team, right? It's people to bounce questions off of, kind of all of that. And so you're not out there on an island all alone. And then there's also the opportunity to have like a go-to resource for questions. Like I'm not saying that I am like the premier podcast subject matter expert in this space or any space, but I've been around the block a few times, and so I have learned some things, and I've learned about like dealing with people and stuff like that, especially like with these types of asks. So there's that dynamic, and then there's also the dynamic of just kind of the production piece of it. Like you don't have to deal with it when you're on the network, at least not on my network. I can't speak for how other networks run, but like all the production pieces handled by Herp Collectors network.
Nice. I didn't think about that. So there's the turnkey nature of it. Hey, you're gonna get a camera, you're gonna get a mic, and we're gonna figure out we'll take care. You're gonna stroll in otherwise.
Yeah, we franchising, baby.
There you go. All right. Real quick shout out to Keeper Kane. Kane is a good dude. Check out his YouTube channel, and he's on Instagram as well. Really good dude, good breeder. Kane, thanks very much. Thanks for the kind words and little change in the tip jar. It does make a difference. And hey, the show is brought to you ad-free by Palm Street and Keeper Kane. So check out Keeper Kane. There you go.
Big shout out to Kane, man. That's a solid dude. I really got a lot of respect for him. I see the White in the chat as well. Big shout out to the White too, the Pie Man.
There's a lot of good folks.
A lot of people in the chat.
Yeah, and that is something that's. I don't think the audience realizes, like, there's a sense of safety and community with the audience, but there's so much I get from the audience and there's so much feedback. Like I sort of make it tongue in cheek now, but it was probably the biggest aha moment for me, at least of the past year. 2 people in the same week said, man, I love listening to your show, but man, these ads, they suck. I got to stop work. I got to take my gloves off. I got to push a button to skip the ad. And I was like, that's horrible. And somebody else was like, yeah, I'm a company driver. I got a cab cam on me. I can't be playing with my phone while I'm driving at work. And so now I have to listen to all these ads. And I was like, I don't make anything. I mean, I make a little bit, but I make very little from YouTube. The advertisers within the community, like the logos that we see here, that's a different story. But from the YouTube views, and I was like, what if I just had no ads? And then it like all fell into place. I was like, it's a better experience for the consumer. It's probably going to drive my metrics higher because people stay engaged longer. And that's going to lead to them sharing it more, which is going to lead to more subscribers. And ultimately, if like one kind of medium snake is probably what I would make from YouTube in a year. And I was like, I could probably sell one more snake a year. And I was like, they're gone. And then I'm going to spin it and I'm going to make it another value add for my advertisers that we're bringing an ad free, you know?
Nice.
So that was one of my big aha things. I asked earlier, what was the value proposition to the hosts? What's the value proposition to you? Why put yourself through this? You're risking your brand. You're hoping that other people don't screw things up. You had a good thing going. You were known. Maybe you expand with Matt, and you're still they're instead of 100%, you're 50% on the second one. Why go through all of it? What was the genesis of that?
I like pushing myself to grow and do things that challenge me. I really enjoy like the whole podcast scene, and I know I don't have the bandwidth to do like multiple podcasts that cover like that focus on like different species and stuff like that. Yeah. And so it was another way to work with people. I enjoy working with people. I enjoy the teamwork aspect. Other people have different ideas, right? Different ideas than you. Sometimes you just kind of get stuck in your way of doing things and you don't really question it because it's the thing that works for you, for your particular situation or whatnot. When you have other people around you, like asking questions and having different observations and just kind of like bringing their experience into things, then it's a way for you to grow from other people too. Like, I truly value like the input of everybody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Different people have like their different strengths, their different weaknesses, but it's just like any other role where you kind of like serving in a leadership role, right? Yeah, you kind of got to figure out your people, figure out what makes them tick. And because leadership at the end of the day, I say this all the time when I'm talking about leadership, the first lesson to me in leadership is it's not about you, bro. That's right. It's about the people that you're working with. It's about the team. It's about the vision. It's about all of that. And so you as a leader, you have to be adaptable, right? Like you can't approach every single person the exact same way because results may vary, right? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. And so you really got to learn what makes people tick. And I love that.
I used to joke that I would go through these waves and spikes in my career, and it was on like a 6 to 8 year cycle. I would get really, really, really good at being a manager and leadership. And then like a generational change would happen. And suddenly I wouldn't know what the hell I was doing. Cause suddenly I would get this crew that was like, you know, in a restaurant's predominantly like 18 to 24-year-olds. So I get a young crew and we finally get a good, you know, after a year or two, we get a good crew together and that crew stays with me 2-3 years. So it's 5 year cycles. And then they go start families or get a, you know, whatever their real job is going to be, or they promote them, they get promoted out of the crew. And so I get this whole new crop of 18-year-olds and I'm like, what happened? I used to know like how to talk to you and I don't know how to, and not only are they new at 18, I'm 5 years older every time. So it got harder and harder, man. And So it was like, it was a madness. But you said something that when you said when you're serving in a leadership role, and it's a little bit ironic to put it that way, but it's a perfect way to put it because leadership really is just service. It's service to your crew. Any manager or general or leader or sports coach or anybody in that sort of role that thinks they can do it without their team is sorely mistaken. And the fact is, reality is the team can probably do it without you. Maybe not forever, maybe not on a sustained basis, but they could probably do it without you. So if you're not serving them to give them the best tools to get the best product possible, the best education, guidance, expectations, of course, accountability goes in there. But so when you said serving in a leadership role, I always really, really wanted to value and accentuate service in that in my
100%.
world and in my restaurants. So I like the way that you put that. I appreciate that. So, okay. Aside from all the philosophical stuff, you're building a brand. You've been at it for, let's call it 5 years for a ballpark number, which is pretty close to accurate, I think.
Yeah. We're right at 5 years now. Yeah.
What's the vision? What's the end game? I hate to use catchy terms like ROI, but what's the return that you get? And you talked a little bit about it on a philosophical standpoint, but has it broadened your, I guess the easiest way to judge what I'm asking or the metric is revenue, but sometimes brand building isn't all about revenue. So what brand building goals did you have, and how do you see where you're at fitting into that long-term vision?
For which company?
Well, I guess in general, is it a media purpose? Is it a snake breeding and snake revenue purpose? And I realize they can overlap, but so for example, I always wanted to be a snake breeder that had a podcast. That to me is still at the core of what I want to do. Now I know a lot of people go, man, I only know you from your YouTube stuff. I don't know anything about your snakes. Okay. That means I have work to do. If my mission is to be a snake breeder that has a podcast, that would be like sort of my answer to what I'm asking you.
Yeah. That's a very interesting dynamic that you mentioned there in terms of you want to be a snake breeder that has a podcast. And starting out, like that's how I approached it as well. And that's still how I approach it. I will say that I need to do more on the snake side of things, like from a social media perspective, and just kind of like solidifying that aspect of it, like even more. Which is part of the reason, like I want to share like some of the tasks that I'm currently doing, so it can free me up to do more in that space, as well as like strategic things for the network side of things. But I do want to step my game up in there as far as like the breeding aspect of it, and like the collection building, holdback, strategic planning for where I want to go with my projects. That hasn't gone anywhere. Like that's still happening. That's really the bread and butter in terms of like money coming in the door and all that kind of good stuff. So it hasn't gone anywhere. I think there is a lot of opportunity though to leverage what I'm currently doing in that space and then expand it.
From the breeding standpoint, you mean? From
the building the brand within the kind of breeding space, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If you scroll down my IG, it's not a whole bunch of snake pics, but it's not because I'm not hatching clutches. It's because I haven't been posting and doing that kind of stuff. Southeast Reptile Expo, vended that in February, planning to vend in August. That's another step towards like getting out there in that reptile breeder space even more and really starting to establish more of a footprint in that space. And not just kind of doing it the way I have been doing it, which is kind of like drive-by posting, stuff like that. I need to do a better job of being intentional in that space.
Well, and some of it is, I don't know for sure, because I don't have a really, really good feel of what scale and all that you're at on breeding, but some of it's a matter of timing. Like I think like sort of my origin story is Kelly asking me, "Oh, you're going to breed snakes and who's going to buy them?" And I was like, "People." She's like, "What people? who the hell's going to know you?" And I was like, Okay, that's a good question, actually. And so that was the start of Proper Royals on YouTube. Was like, all right, well, and it was the middle of the pandemic, and honestly, I knew that YouTube and social media was powerful, and I wanted to use it to advertise for weddings at our private club. And I figured if I could learn how to sell snakes on the internet, I could sell weddings on the internet. But then everything just went crazy, and here I am now today. But what I'm saying is, so some of it I think you've made incredible use of your time, and you and I joke, and maybe not even joke, maybe really seriously on the phone pretty often when we talk, hey, here we both are still doing this. Cause we both heard the others, the people saying, what are you doing? You shouldn't have a show yet. Oh, you think you're somebody. Oh, you won't last. You won't make it. Oh, you're a COVID breeder. Well, surprise, surprise. Here we are, man. Here we are. And, we usually keep that conversation private, but what I'm getting to is I think you made really good time of your brand, whether you've been pushing snakes or not. When you do want to push snakes, or when you do decide, hey, I need to do that more regularly and consistently, or disciplined, or whatever word we use, your brand already has value then. And I think it's very easily transferable between the two.
100%. They definitely play off of each other. And that's kind of like the thought process I had about it too, in terms of leveraging that platform that we've built to take it to the next level, like in the snake space.
So one of the topics that I had written here, which sounded really good when I wrote it last night, and I think it still sounds good, but this leads into it perfectly. Talk about maybe some experiences you have, or thoughts or intentional actions with the mindset that branding can be a compounding asset. Like, you and I like numbers. You have an MBA. I like playing with numbers and figuring out business. A brand really can be and an audience, we say compounding, we're talking the snowball effect essentially here, but something very little a long time ago. If you bought $10 of Amazon shares 30 years ago or 20 years ago, you'd be however rich you'd be. That same thing can apply to brand. Is there stuff you've done along the way with that in mind, Mike?
Building relationships is, I think, the number one thing, because when people think of brand, rightfully they think of, or naturally they think of like your logo. They think of your colors, the name of your business, like stuff like that. So kind of the visual pieces of it. But it's more than that. Like your brand is like who you are, right? Your brand is who your company is, and part of who your company is the relationships you build, and the way that you carry yourself, and the way that people perceive you. Yeah. And so one of the big things that we've done in that space is build those relationships, maintain that professionalism, and kind of establish ourselves like with that thinking in mind. And me personally, like, I feel like it works. And the reason I say it, this is anecdotal evidence, but I get comments from people all the time in terms of them appreciating the show. And when they say what they appreciate about the show, it's super consistent, like super consistent. And the great thing about that consistency is it's consistent around the things that we were intentional about from the start, right? In terms of how people perceive it. And that's the brand that we've built.
Yeah, it's almost like a social contract. Like, the first time somebody saw you, they said, oh, Mike does this. The second time they see you, oh, he did that again. By the third time, they expect the brand of Mike and Herp Collectors on there. And I think a lot about that, about Proper Royals as well. How do I, because there's always input of, oh, you should change this, you should do that. And I said, well, I don't expect people to sign off, and I certainly don't sign off on every audience member that comes in, but the audience comes to expect a certain thing. When they come here, they probably most nights realize they're not going to get slapstick comedy or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just not me. It's not that it's good or bad. It's not me, and that's not what they're coming for. Now, we might get in depth. We might get nerdy. We might pick apart numbers. We might not look at a whole lot of snakes. So those sorts of things I try and keep consistent. I think what you said about the relationships, especially in a small industry. I mean, you can almost equate this industry to a small town. Everybody knows each other. no matter how far out on the outskirts you get, I tell you, you ask 2-3 people, somebody's going to know everybody. And how people respond when your name comes up is really important. And I know we've teased it, but that's the same thing that came from that phone call that you and I got in the past day or two, you know, the same kind of thing. And that reliability, and you could be reliable. I like to think and I try and be, I not only like to think, I try very hard to be a very good person. But you could try to be, you know, just like pro wrestling. You could be the bad guy. As long as you're consistently the bad guy, as long as people know what they're getting when they come see you, then you can be reliable then.
Yeah. And it works for some people to be the bad guy. Like,
it does.
That's their lane, and they do a good job at being the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And how much have you, I think something that what really just popped into my mind is authenticity. Like, and I don't think that the bad guys in our industry are actually evil people. Let me clarify that. I don't think that's the case. I do think that there's a persona, but I think that they're naturally authentic at that persona is, I guess, what I'm saying. Has there ever been a time where you've been feeling like, not that you were faking it, but that either, I'll ask this question of myself, is on camera, I am one person and I'm 90% that same person off camera, but I am also my wife's husband and my kid's dad. I don't put that into work. I keep a pretty solid space there. And every now and again at like shows or something, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to remember I'm on camera here at this show. Even if there's not a camera in front of me, like that's who I like. And that's part of why I put this coat on every time. It's hot in Minnesota, which I know you're laughing about in Florida, but like, there's no need for me to be sitting in this coat right now. Like I'm sweating, but I'm like, okay, that is the mental cue to myself.
Yeah.
I'm proper
like
Royals. Yeah, exactly. It is a ritual, but I'm proper Royals, Adam. Is there any times that you like catch yourself where you're like, oh wait, I need to be Herp Collectors, Mike, not Mike and Takara out having a nice evening? Mike,
you mean on cam or just in general? Just
in general, or where those worlds collide sometimes. Maybe if I don't know if you're at a show, I don't know if you've ever run into something like that.
I mean, sometimes, yeah. I'm not going to even lie. There are sometimes, because while I am a like very like professional person, I've got like experience in different like areas and stuff like that, and so I understand like what it takes to be professional. I understand the type of like brand I want to have. I understand the brand and the persona that I want the company to carry.
Yeah.
That still doesn't change like the first, I don't know, 30 years of my life growing up like a certain way. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. It's kind of like how you might not listen to a certain type of music at right now, but you never forget like the words to the song, if that makes sense. It's probably a terrible analogy, but
I'll tell you what I'm thinking is after the doors close, the kitchen is clean, we're going out and I'm untying the bow tie. I can have the bow tie on and in the suit on in the front of the house, but when I walk out of the building and I go have a drink with the friends or the crew afterwards, the crew knows that's a different Adam than when we're in the building. And if you mix the two up, there's probably going to be a problem.
100%.
As long as we know they're two different Adams, we're going to have a good time. And
100%.
Each one has their place, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, there's definitely been times where I've had to remind myself, don't let old school Mike come out.
Right. Yeah. Well, like some of the auction, the Daytona auction or the Tinley auction, I'm like, oh man, I am throwing my brand in the garbage right now. This is, I really hope there's not cameras out right now. So like I say, I got to give the 90% disclaimer, you know,
I'd say about 90%. That's a good number to put on it.
Yeah, it's the same person inside. There's just two different experiences with that, you know. So, I got just a few minutes till we need to get to the top of the hour break for just a second. I don't know why I'm hung up on this idea as the brand as a compounding asset, and I think part of why I'm hung up on it in a good way is it's so easy to see with you going from one show to a network of shows. And that's like the best example of a snowball. Like if they look at Proper Royals, they're like, okay, yeah, you got your little morning show that you do. And I'm like, no, it does all these other things, but you compounding literally the shows, it's right in front of people. And I think it's a very, very cool thing. I guess to wrap up, like the network part of it, you've been at a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere in there on it now.
The network piece, no, we coming up on a year, right? So we
coming up on a year.
Yeah, we coming up on a year. I want to say we launched Double Clutch July or August of 2024.
Okay.
And so that was the second show. Control Corner was shortly thereafter. Retake Rundown was shortly after that. We had the moat, but we paused in the moat for the time being. It's a spider focused show.
Okay.
We paused on that for a little while for various reasons, but it's all good, and I'm fully supportive of like the reason and fully supportive of Jess and all that good stuff.
Well, and
like Grow House and more came out like early this year, early 2025.
When you have 6, 7, 8 people in the mix, things are going to come up. Life's going to happen. And even at its best, I mean, that happens.
And it's all good reasons for why we're
okay. So even better. Yeah. Like I tell people a story. One of my favorite managers that worked for me, man, he's amazing. And he's, where'd he go? What happened to him? Well, he bought his family's restaurant and had to tell me he was leaving. And I could do nothing but give him a big hug and tell him, go kill it, go crush the world. So, knowing that you have hosts and you have people that you work with, I'm not asking for any specifics or performance reviews of anybody like that. That's not what I'm asking. What if you
check my notes here?
There you go. Yeah. Let's talk about what's Kate been going on here? What have you learned that surprised you, whether it was from the metrics, what was the effect on YouTube? How's the reach been? Did it extend your brand? Have you seen it? Do you see it as a longer term? Like, is it too early to talk about results? Is it too early to talk about like, dislike, success? I don't like the word failure, but challenges or pivots, anything like that?
I do think it's too early for a grade. Reason being is because, I mean, I feel like I was 2 years into my podcast.
That's right.
Before like I felt like I was making progress.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
And so none of these podcasts have even been going for a full year. So it's kind of hard to like grade or whatnot. What I will tell you is like, in terms of expanding reach, stuff like that, like I've been learning a lot about some other species. So that's been good.
Yeah.
Retake Rundown is one that like I do like the backstage, like control of the comments and like all the production with that, like even during the show.
Yeah.
And so like I'm super, like I have to, because I don't know if you've seen it, but the format of it is he'll bring on like 3 guests, right? And so they essentially have 4 questions. They get the questions ahead of time because the goal is to have like really well thought out answers. Mm-hmm. And each person has 3 minutes to answer their question. And so like person.
Oh, cool. So you're doing a lot on the production side with getting the questions up. Yeah.
Timer and all that kind of stuff. Right. And so you got to be paying attention to it's a lot that you got to be paying attention to, and the flow of the conversation, just to know like when to do what, stuff like that. And I feel like I'm learning so much about an animal that I personally will never be able to keep as long as I'm living in Florida. But I'm learning a lot about it, and then also like making contacts in that world, right?
Right.
In the retake world, making contacts in the chondro world, making contacts in the plant world and stuff like that. So it's really definitely opening up opportunities to meet even more people that I might not have had the opportunity to have the same type of exposure with just through doing my show or just through kind of putting my head down in the ball python community.
You know, I won't, you don't have to comment on this at all because it might put you in a tough spot. I could see a huge benefit of that just because of how a lot of those other communities immediately see ball python breeders. So you kind of get a little, more FaceTime, a little in-depth relationship. I've run into some of that where it's kind of like, you're mostly a ball python guy, Adam. I don't know. And I'm like, Okay. All right. Thanks for considering. I appreciate it. You're like, I'm not going to fight this fight, but man. So yeah, I could see that. That's interesting on the production part as well. So you want the creativity, but then you got to figure out with your team how you're going to make it happen as well, which requires somebody to be behind the scenes. Like there's only like my format is mostly maxed out. I even mentioned earlier, like if I try and engage the camera, I can't keep an eye on every comment going on over here. Otherwise I'm looking like this the whole night, which is no fun either, So, do you want to add to it? Do you want to grow? Where are you at? What do you think the opportunities on the horizon are for Herp Collectors Network?
Yeah, like I'm definitely not looking to add any shows right now. I mean, unless there's just like some offer I can't refuse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you never know when Justin wants to show, right?
Right. I mean,
yeah.
like we can talk about stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, you'd listen, right? Yeah.
In general, like generally speaking, I'm not really looking to add more shows right now. What I'm looking for now is really to organize myself better. Like I said, offload some of the things that I'm currently doing so I can focus more on like some other things that I want to do, like with regards to the network, with regards to growing the network, continuing to work on the relationships with my hosts. I worded that probably poorly. It's not like we got a bad relationship. I mean, but just continue developing those relationships and tapping in with them and stuff like that, and picking their brain for like what their thoughts are on how things are going, and really like tapping into like their creative minds.
Yeah.
And so I definitely want to take some of those administrative tasks and kind of have someone else do those so it can free me up for that kind of stuff. And I don't want to add like a bunch of more shows to manage, because that's going to take up the time that I'm hoping to get from kind of clearing my task load with those other tasks. And so I kind of really just want to focus on what we've got and really developing those. And then I don't even know what that exact timeline is going to be, but I don't know, let's call it 12, 24 months into the future, then look at growing from there based on like the momentum we've built, the lessons we've learned, the processes we've improved, and things of that nature.
Yeah. I didn't take it anyway when you talked about the hosts. I see it in a way of like musicians. So the first time musicians play together, we might hit every chord exactly right, but it might not have that feeling or that audience engagement, or that it didn't feel like a dance. It felt like work. If we're both staring at a piece of paper counting, that sucks. Nobody wants to watch that performance. If we get to know each other so well that we know where the changes are coming and we know each other's style and we can play off of it, then people want to watch that, and then people want to engage. So I get exactly what you mean. It was the same with chefs with me. It was the same with other managers and me, bosses that I had to learn. I had to, figure them out. So that makes great sense to me. And to be honest, some of that stuff, people ask me if I miss the restaurants or my career, and I 99% say no, but the 1% I miss is some of that camaraderie, some of that, not that it's a good habit, but hanging out with the guys that are smoking behind the restaurant before, you know what I mean? Like those are special moments. It sounds crazy because you're standing by a dumpster hanging out with dudes smoking and you're about to work for 9 hours, but those were some good
I
memories.
remember those days.
You know what I'm talking about.
Those are some of the memories that stand out, which is crazy. Like you're standing by a big dumpster.
It was always at the dumpster, wasn't it? Yeah.
Always. Like without fail. Like I worked in multiple restaurants, and the dumpster was always a spot, bro.
Yeah, that's it, man. Well, and I mean, it was practical. I mean, you're going to put the dumpster close to the back door so you don't have to haul trash a quarter mile, but blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, what you're talking about is what I miss. I don't have a whole lot of collaborative input. So I don't know that I express it to the Patreon group enough, but that makes up a lot of that. Like when we're bouncing ideas off of each other, when we're figuring out all the creative stuff you're talking about, and those like learning each other, that all, and the ideas you get from that. When somebody goes, I hate such and such, Gene. Okay, well, what do you think should go in it? And then they say something like, whoa, and you're like, oh, maybe that should go in it, And you could do that with show prep. You could do it with gear. You could do it with setup, or somebody might go, how does the green and the yellow glow behind you, Adam? And suddenly they have a new lighting idea. Or I asked you about your hexagons behind you and the audio pads, So I miss that stuff. And I actually work to try and find that in my life. And the show is part of it, actually. We should talk snakes here in just a minute. What do you think of that?
Works for me.
Because you and I talk a lot about everything but snakes. Let's talk. Audience, stick around. We're going to talk snakes. Let me pay some bills for just a second. Audience, before you go anywhere, note that this whole show has been brought to you ad-free. So stick around. These ads are for people in our industry that support our industry. They support you. They support me. And they do keep the lights on and the show on. As Mike noted, he and I have both been at this nearly 5 years. And these sponsors are what make it possible. So I ship with Redline Shipping. A very short, not good story on my part that I needed Redline to make right for me. 2 packages went out. The wrong label went on each package. I had to learn a hard lesson in quality control. Snakes that were supposed to be in Wisconsin ended up in Texas and vice versa. Thank God Redline Shipping has a phone number you can call directly. You can get in touch with a wonderful person like AJ or Jackie or Ed, any of their crew. And within 30 minutes, both shipments were in the hands of somebody at the local FedEx place. They had it accounted for. AJ said, don't worry about it, Adam. These are going to be in the right places tomorrow. Let us know if you have any more issues. Done. If there's not a number, if there's not a customer service team, you're not going to get that kind of help. That's why I ship with Redline Shipping. They have great supplies and a great customer user interface when you go to book and all that. Go check them out. Use a promo code PROPER5 for $5 off your next shipping label. Shedtest.com is Charlie Williams. Charlie, total disruptor. I talk about figuring out business. Charlie figured out how to DNA test shed tests. Like I'm figuring out how to go on the internet with a microphone, and Charlie's like, I think I could figure out DNA sequencing of Enchies. And he did. And then he did it for 50 other genes. I have a short list here. Newest shed tests available that are live. Lace, Monarch, Hurricane, and Monsoon are available. There's over 32 ball python genes available. Some highlights: VPI Azanthic, Wookiee Sunset, Clown Puzzle, Ultramel Zebra, and more. All the Yellow Belly complex. And I'll tell you, Charlie is who's doing the testing. He's the customer service. He's the one delivering the results. Go check him out. If you have any questions, you can message him on Instagram. Otherwise, just go to shedtesting.com. Use the promo code PROPER15 and get yourself 15% off of 2 orders of shed tests. You can order as many tests per order as you want, but you got to order them all at once. So 2 times you can do that, 15% off. Charlie at Reagan Renee Royal Pythons, the defending undefeated 15 Minutes of Lame champion. If you watch Chris Eaton, Chris and the Fat Man, that's Charlie, Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. I believe it's chemist, but scientist, educated beyond belief by day, working in labs, quality control, and that converts to his data analysis and his pythons at night. He's working on Kryptons, DG, G-Stripe, Candy, Pied, Candy's Pieds, Clowns, single, double, and triple ingredients on him. Go check out his Morph Market now. It's up to date. There's some great stuff on there. That's Charlie at Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. Portuguese Pythons is Danny and Renee Rocha. If you missed them last week on the show, you should go check them out. They're in Chino, California. Really, really good insight to breeding strategy over the long term for doubles and triples and how things relate to codoms, allelic combinations, and supers. The stuff they're doing is phenomenal. My favorite stuff from them is the Ultramel stuff that they're working on. Most all of my Ultramel ingredients come from Portuguese Pythons. They got me hooked. They figured out how to keep me in the sales funnel. In Ultramel, they are working Puzzle, Clown, and Pied with a whole lot of dark gene codoms, as well as Hypo and I was going to say Hypo and Ghost. You smart people know that's the same thing. Hypo projects and True Ghost projects as well. What do they got on there? There's some Ultramel Hep puzzle ingredients on their Morph Market right now, as well as Dark Genes, Blackhead, Het Red Xanthic, GHI, things like that, and Ultramel and Sunset projects as well. So go check out Portuguese Pythons. Trevor at Ball Labs in Aurora, Colorado. Trevor likes working any genes he could get his hands on, but you'll recognize Puzzle, Ultramel Clown, VPI Xanthic, Tri-Stripe, Monsoon, Zebra, and Sunset. Trevor is a licensed breeder of rodents in Colorado. There's very few people are. You have to legally be inspected and permitted to sell and breed rodents. If he's doing that the right way, I know he's taking care of his snakes the right way. Things don't just start and stop in one area and not in another area. So check out Trevor at Ball Labs. Great dude to do business with. I always enjoy getting to hang out with him when I go out to the Castle Rock show of the All-American Plant and Reptile Expo. Last but not least is Chris at BNS Reptilia, the original advertiser on Proper Royals. Years later, still here. He's my vending partner in October at Tinley, which is actually not that far off. We also own a few animals together. So huge thanks to Chris. He's been an amazing resource. He's called Reptilia because he has ball pythons, blood pythons, locality boas, colubrids of all shapes and sizes, Pituophis, if you know what that means, the bull snakes, the pine snakes. And he's going to make sure that, A, you're legal to have what you want to order from him. Second, if you need any permits, papers, documentation, he's going to keep you in good shape on that. He's been a great friend, a great resource, and a mentor for a long time. He's also the regional distributor of the Chipper cocoa in the Pennsylvania area. And if you're interested in buying any cocoa from him, he'll take care of you. If you're interested in being a distributor of the Chipper yourself, you can get in touch with Chris. He'll help you out on that as well. Take care of the sponsors. I appreciate it very, very much. And another sponsor is Cold Blooded Cafe. They work a whole lot more on Proper Cup of Joe and some of my Instagram stuff. But if you're not aware, Proper 11 now gets you free shipping on all orders over $200 forever. It used to be a one-time code that would get reset every now and again. You spend $200, you put in Proper 11, you're going to get free shipping. There you go. Thanks for hanging out on that, guys. Thanks for listening to my pitch with those companies. They're very special to me, and they literally keep us going here. And again, coming to you ad-free all night tonight. Hanging out with Mike Johnson from Herp Collectors. Let's get back to what we started this whole thing for, Mike. The ball pythons. You alluded a little bit to it earlier. What do you got going on? What's your, like, I love stats. What do you give us some stats on your scale, your volume? And we all know quantity doesn't equal quality. So tell us a little bit about what you got going on in the quantity that you're working.
Yeah. So right now I would say probably about 200 snakes, give or take. Yeah. I don't know the exact number. You know
exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
I used to know the exact number and used to keep up with all that.
Right.
Like, I could tell you the exact number, just that and third, but I can't do that anymore.
You know what? We used to keep up with the exact number of episodes we did too. Now we don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like priorities change and focus changes and all that good stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, primarily working really 5 recessives, hypo, DG, clown, ultramel, pod, and then a little bit of G stripe too in my hypo DG clown projects. So I'm kind of working like the quad with genetic stripe in the mix. It's funny you asked this question. It's a real timely question in terms of like what's going on right now for a couple different reasons. I got a pretty late season. And so like I'm really kind of getting to the thick of like my pairings right now.
Okay.
And,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'll be ultrasounding week and a half or so, just to kind of get some updates on where some of those girls are, to see like who I need to, who should I be expecting eggs from in the near future. Like it's a few girls I haven't ultrasounded probably in a longer time period than I typically would have gone during this time, because I've been so busy. That's kind of been one of the last things I've got to. And I've also personally, I feel like I've gotten a lot better at palpating. Like I used to always say all the time, like the reason I got an ultrasound is because I don't have a clue how to palpate. But over time in working with the girls, like you start to feel the difference. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I do personally. Maybe not everybody, but it's just like one of those things I focus on.
I gave up on it. I'm like, I got an ultrasound, time to move on. That's it.
Yeah, I'm still gonna leverage the ultrasound,
Of course,
but
yeah.
I feel like I got a good idea of like where a lot of girls are at, like not to the point of I know the exact millimeter or anything like that, but just who's further along than others, if that makes sense.
That makes great sense. And like almost anything that we ever talk about, like the more reps that you do and the time that you have, you're going to learn about them. So like I suck at palpating, but I know when they laid last. I know what behaviors they're demonstrating. I know how they're eating. I know how their body looks. I could tell you, I'm kind of with you. Like
It's all that stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is important to ultrasound, but ultrasounding doesn't change anything. It's not going to make them go or not go. So I'm kind of with you. Like I try and do it every 3 weeks to a month, but sometimes it's 5-6 weeks in between when I ultrasound. I do like to do it as an update for anything that I've missed, because there are some surprises. I don't know everything. And there are ones that I'm like, whoa, I better get a mail in there quick kind of deal. And then there's other ones that like, I don't know if you've seen it, but like they'll hover between that 13 and 23 for a long time.
For a long time.
And then boom, in 2 weeks, man, they go up to 37 out of the blue, or maybe not 37, but 35, where you're like, oh, I better pay attention here real quick, or 32 or whatever it is. But yeah, there'll be months in between that 13 to 23 or whatever, and then just rocket when they go.
Yeah. And I've seen girls who kind of do like a similar thing as they do in that last 2 week period of the example you just described. It's up for like, that's their standard way, like they build follicles. Like, this one girl I used to have, I got her from Matt, and then I've since sent her back to him. But you ultrasound her, there's nothing. And then this was back when I was ultrasounding like every 3 weeks. Like I used to religiously ultrasound every 2 weeks. You ultrasound, then she's at like 10, 11, then 3 weeks later, boom, she's high 20s.
Right.
Yeah, like she just like she builds like super quick.
Yeah.
Like if you blink, you've missed her, and so you got to be on top of her. And she's doing the same thing for Matt now. But yeah, I haven't been ultrasounding as much as I used to, just because of bandwidth, and then also like all those other factors we just talked about, and paying attention to my girls. But right now, like a lot of girls giving me the signs, a lot of girls, like I'm feeling follicles. So I definitely need to get in there with an ultrasound. And my pairings are probably for like the last month or so, I've definitely been pairing a lot more. My season, for whatever reason, like it's just like shifted to being super late. I've already had 10 clutches in 2025.
Yeah.
From 2024 pairings that I was doing, right? And so that's just kind of like where I'm at. Like the majority of my girls, they do kind of go over probably like a 3 month time span.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got like girls still going like after that, obviously, like with the 2025 clutches, I still got girls going, but I haven't even had a chance to turn off the incubator since last year, which from a risk perspective, that worries me a little bit. I do got a relatively new fan in there, and so it's been working fine. I haven't had any issues with the incubator, but I feel weird about having it on for like over a year straight, right?
Yeah, I think last year I only had mine off for like 3 weeks, and I don't even think I turned it. I mean, it was empty for 3 weeks, but I don't even think I turned it off for just what you're talking about, was knowing that I was still breeding. I still had girls going. They're spread out. Mine are spread way out. And I talk some, seems like a lot lately, but I think in this day and age of animals flying across the country overnight, like there's so much movement of the animals. Like an animal that was born to a lineage from Minnesota probably has a different seasonal timing than an animal that was born to a lineage from Florida. And I think over time they'll adjust to the seasons, but I think most people don't keep females for 5 years and give them that time to adjust and kind of come into line. So like you're saying, like, I hear you when you say it's a late season, but it's almost just like
it's the season.
Yeah, it's almost just continual. Yeah. And like, there's different benefits. Like in Florida, you get those storms with the crazy pressure drops, man. Those can come in real handy to
Oh,
have
yeah.
a late season breeding.
Oh,
Cause
yeah.
you're just now getting into that season, huh? Where it's, you're getting the afternoon storms and stuff yet.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's kind of shifted like about 2 months. When I first moved here, it was like a April kind of thing, right? You can expect every afternoon starting around April, it was going to rain every day in the afternoon. And it only rained for a little bit, but it was going to for sure rain.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of like moved to June the last few years. And so like we're starting to get a lot of that rain now. And I can't really say that has anything to do with it because I don't remember like when I started whether or not we were getting it in April, but I feel like it's been a long time that it's kind of shifted back. But I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it. But we're starting to get the rain now, and I'm definitely seeing a lot more activity from our girls, just in terms of behavior, feeding response. Like I said, how they feel, all that good stuff. Successful locks, like the whole nine.
Yeah, that's interesting because there's the rain or the clouds or the temperatures that we see and feel, but there's a lot that I don't think that we pick up on, whether it be barometric pressure, and I'm certainly not like phases of the moon and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't track all that either.
I don't either, and it's not my alley. But maybe I don't know. It damn sure pulls the tide, so maybe those snakes feel something. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I'm more thinking of like barometric pressure is really what I'm thinking of. Where as humans we really don't pay attention to that. But I wonder if, like you said, maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe not. I really don't know. Somebody can chime in on that, but I don't know. And no knock on anybody, but I have no idea about the moon or you know the stars and all of that stuff. So
another reason that was a timely question too is because I was actually going through my females today, both like adult females and girls just growing up. And Hypo DG Clown is what I consider my big three. Like it's the multi-recessive project that I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
And I feel like I need a lot more girls in that project than what I have. And so that's going to be a big focus this year. I'm even rearranging some of the pairings that I was going to do to give myself more opportunities to shoot for females in that project. And it'll probably be like a little bit of both, a little bit of holdback type activity and a little bit of picking up an animal here and there.
Oh, I was going to ask, like, where's the value payoff for you? Is it in making the animals and the time, or just trading money for that time, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, some opportunities present themselves.
A little bit of both for sure.
Yeah.
I know in terms of investments, like dollar investments, I'm more willing to put more money in a male than I am a female.
Interesting. I ping back and forth because when there's times when I'm like, I've decided like super gravel is going to be what I'm known for. It could be in super gravel clown. It could be in super gravel ultramel. It could be in super gravel ultramel clown. That's fine. That's what I want it to be. And I go back and forth because that's the conventional mindset. You buy these banging males and then you pair them to the females. And then there's pairings that I have where I'm like, no, I need powerful females too. So like, as far as purchasing, I'm probably more likely to purchase a really powerful male. Hold back, I'm probably more likely to hold back the really powerful female.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I was talking about purchasing, like.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Like I got a set dollar amount. I'm not going to disclose that dollar amount, but I got basically a set dollar amount that I'm willing to invest in a female. I mean, obviously, exceptions can be made, but just kind of as like generally speaking, there's like X amount that I would want to invest in a female, whereas that number for a male is a lot higher. And
I
for obvious reasons, because you can spread that investment over multiple clutches quicker than that one female with one clutch per season.
Yeah, I love having the powerful male that I could get the powerful female that I can get the male back to, the offspring of it. So I still wrestle with it. That's interesting that you look at it as what you'll spend on a male and a female. How much do you find yourself, pivoting in projects or adding things to projects as opportunities come along, or are you real like cut and dry? This is it. This is it. What I'm working on. That's it there.
Well, when I think about my projects, I really kind of think of, I view them through the recessive lens.
Yeah.
And so I'm not adding like new recessives. I may add incomplete dominance into some of those projects if those incomplete dominants work well in the projects. Right. Like there's certain genes that I want, like from an incomplete dominant perspective, there's certain ones that I want in specific recessive or multi-recessive projects. Right. And so I'm always looking at it through that lens, making sure that I've got like the genes that I want in that project. So I can kind of make like this animal that I see that I'm probably like 10, 15 years away from actually hatching. Yeah. I want to make sure that I have the building blocks in those respective projects, and I'm working towards that, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. And I ask because I would mostly say I'm in your same mentality, although in this day and age of shed testing and the ingredients for multi-recessives are out there. I mean, they're even from when you and I started, the price point for a really banging visual het or visual double het with a codom or two is a screaming deal compared to what we were spending for, an Enchi het clown.
I wish I was buying in now in the projects with the knowledge.
Well, and that's what kind of comes around. Like, are you buying in now? I have to admit, I see this as an amazing time of opportunity in that. Like,
yeah, I still purchase animals here and there. I don't purchase as much as I used to because I'm not as much in that collection building stage, but I am looking for animals that fit my projects, and they also fit kind of like the desired price point for said projects and whatnot. So I still pick up, but when I say buying in, I mean like just really kind of like starting from scratch.
No, I know.
5 years ago.
No, I was giving you a hard time. I know.
You compare like those prices compared to like what people can get way better animals for now compared to those prices. It's crazy, but I mean it is what it is. That's just how the game go. But also too, as part of like what I'm working, like as far as the incomplete dominance, I do factor in like supers and act like super and stuff like that. Sure. And I really love to work with that stuff and structure my projects and pairs in such a way that I can leverage that.
Yeah, that actually is going to come into focus for me, especially with the super gravel angle. But then if I could start making super gravel allelic combos, you start getting into almost the mindset of like the Pompeii, where, okay, that's an amazing snake and you can't recreate it in the next generation. You're going to like, there's some value. If it's a cool snake and it's visually cool and you have that leverage on it and you could be one of the first to the market or early in the project, there's a lot of value there. And I hate to make everything value driven or transactional, but both can be true. It could be cool. I can love what I'm doing, but I am trying to pay my bills with this too. So 100%. You know what I mean? So it all plays into it. So I don't want to make, a matter of fact, I want to take that further. You can't make everything about the pennies because you'll go nuts first. And second, you're going to lose a passion for it because the pennies don't match up when you're sitting there scrubbing poo at 2 a.m. It just doesn't.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, so you can't make it all about the money.
But you can't, on the same token, you can't not make some of it about the money either. Like, I feel like that's taboo sometimes in our industry, like to talk about like the business side, the money side, and the return on investment side.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like you should be on that side of the spectrum either, right? There's a happy middle place.
There's a very happy middle place. And from the side of not selling, but purchasing, if people don't watch out, you could go in debt and crash and burn. Like, these animals are cool, but they are not worth going bankrupt for. Like, sometimes there's people that I see that I'm like, dude, that is blood money you're spending. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying there's value in looking at cash flow. There's value in I know people roll their eyes, but man, if I could sell an Enchi banana and make a little bit of money, then I know I can sell some of the other stuff. Because let me tell you, an Enchi banana is hard to make money on, but I can figure if I learned how to do that. I did my time, and I still do. I still sell those animals. There's hedges that you got to put in, and it just scares me sometimes when I see. And everybody's got different resources. 30 grand is different to one person than it is to another. But to me, I don't think I've ever put 30 grand down on. Well, I've always rolled houses one into the next one. I didn't put 30 grand down on my first house. And I would say go buy a house before you buy $6,000 snakes, you know?
That's funny. Going back to like your super gravel project, like one of the reasons I like working like ALS and super stuff is because like mathematically it gives you the same odds as a visual recessive.
That's right.
Say you hatch a super gravel hypo clown.
Yeah.
Like you can think of that as a double visual, or you can think about it mathematically as a triple. With the added value of the gene going to be visible. Exactly. No normals. Right. And the gene's going to be visible in the offspring.
That's a good point. I've always believed in that's a triple. It's triple homozygous. That's factual. Whether we want to call it recessive or dominant, it's triple homozygous. Exactly. I've always thought about that. But that's a really good angle about, hey, your triple visual is going to make normal looking snakes. This one will never make normal. It might only be gravel, but it ain't normal, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting angle. I like that. I like that pitch. Just a couple quick fire things here in overtime. What's a co-dominant that you're really excited about working or that you've added lately?
So Tommy would kick my butt if I answered that question and I didn't say incomplete dominant.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let me what non-recessive, what one copy gene would you add? Go ahead.
Would I add that I don't have?
I'm sorry. All right. That I just asked that you're excited about, or that you've recently added that's in your collection that you're excited about, or that will be imminently.
Yeah, I haven't recently added this, but one of the genes I'm most excited about is Cypress.
Cool.
I really like what you can do with Cypress. You can make so many cool combos. In fact, my favorite clutch from this past year was Cypress Leopard Clown to Fire Russo Spot Nose Clown. So fairly straightforward pairing, but I hatched a bunch of different combos that were really cool, with some really cool patterns, some really cool colors. I like what Cypress does in a bunch of different combos. So I'm definitely looking forward to working that more. And then also kind of leveraging like the ALS. So like the Cypress Spot Noses of the world, probably some Cypress chocolate stuff.
Yeah.
Very nice. I would say Cypress is one of the genes I'm most excited about. I really love the Cypress stuff.
We'll have to stay in touch on that. I have one Cypress and I've never actually ended up I take that back. I have a couple Cypress. One in particular is Jeremy Bod made him, and I ended up never breeding him. He's Het Clown, 66% Het DG. That one's for sale. Okay. But I've got a lot of chocolate and spot nose stuff from a breeder that I work with in Florida, and I ended up keeping a whole bunch of it. And it's pretty cool. That when you said working with allelic or act like super combos, I was like, yeah, that's why I kept those back. And so we'll have to keep in touch on some of those. And then I forget even the combo. I'm looking over here. I have one. I haven't even tested. It came in a mixed bag from a breeder up here in Minnesota, but it's chocolate or Cypress buried under 2 or 3 other codoms, as well as or incomplete doms, as well as Het Clown. So I was like, look, let me just put a male clown to this and see what I get out of it. I'll test it later, kind of thing. So,
and I'll just give you a hard time about the incomplete dominant versus codoms. I naturally say codoms a lot more, but I did tell Tommy I was going to work on it, so I'm trying to stay true to my word.
All right. So here, one of my favorite quotes ever, and I didn't say it. So anyway, Dr. Seidel, the very first person that came on the show talking about genetic testing that was working that we say working that project in our industry. She was working that initiative before RGI or Charlie came to market. I was talking to her, and basically she rolled her eyes and she said, Adam, it's 0 copies, 1 copy, or 2 copies. Whatever humans want to call it, you call it what you want. But in the lab, it's 0, 1, or 2.
That's a good way to think about it.
No, as soon as she said that, because to this day, I don't know if those terms are used largely outside of snake or reptile breeding. Like, I don't know that. I know we talk about dominant and recessive traits outside of, in the natural world, but I don't know that we talk about complete dominance and incomplete dominance when we talk about like what do they say? Hitchhiker's thumb is I can't remember if it's a dominant or like blue eyes would be a recessive trait because both parents, I need to have it to have blue eyes. So my son has blue eyes, but I have brown eyes. My mother had blue eyes. I'm het for blue eyes. I get it. But I don't know if that's I don't know if there's, anyway, what I'm saying is she was like, it was weird because she was testing ball pythons, but she wasn't like in the ball python world, And she was like, I really have no idea. It's 0, 1, or 2. And I was like, okay, thank you very much, doctor. I will continue.
Yeah. I didn't use any of it outside of snakes.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking in these terms.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Cypress. Good answer. I like it. What's the last animal that you purchased? If I don't know, maybe it's a secret that you can't talk about, but if you could talk about it, what's the last animal that you purchased?
So I just got a really nice mail from Justin.
Oh, okay. That's always good.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay. And I haven't heard that gene. Really nice animal. Okay. That sounds like a nice combo there. All right. We'll stay tuned on that then. And I think you mentioned earlier, Mike, but where are you vending next? Where can people find you in person next?
Next, it'll be Southeast Reptile Expo in Atlanta.
Okay.
August. I think it's August 9th, if I got that date right.
I'm not sure off the top of my head,
but
I'm certain it's in August. Yeah.
August 9th and 10th, if I'm not mistaken. Southeast Reptile Expo. You'll be able to find me. We doing another group setup. So it'll be myself. It'll be Justin from Armless Angels, Jason from Ancestral Royal Pythons,
nice.
And then Steven from Wettermorph Constrictors. And so,
very good.
Yeah, we actually, last time we had 4 tables. This time we got 6.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know some of the guys. Say hey to Jason for me when you get a chance, man. Talk about like seeing somebody start right around the same time, just throwing flames, man, just killing what he's producing. It's unbelievable to see what he's doing, man. That's real cool.
Yeah, he's doing some really nice stuff. Jason was one of the first people that I saw like working Ultramale Project and seeing one of the animals he hatched. Like at the time, it was a leopard spot nose Ultramale. Can't remember if it was a male or a female. Beautiful animal. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful animal. Is one of the animals, if not the animals, that got me hooked on Ultramale.
He is, what's that saying? Comparison is the thief of joy. That man will take your joy if you compare what he's doing when you started to what he's doing now. Man, I see this. I'm like, how is he doing that, man? It's so good, man. He's doing, and it's really cool. I'll just tell the story really quick. I was leaving the first Daytona I ever attended. I never, not even vended. I was attending, and it was right at the tail. It must have been 2021, tail end of COVID. I had my mask on, and I was walking out, and my son was with me, and somebody passes me, and then I just hear him say, "I like your show, man." And I was like, "What?" And that was 2021. I'd only been at it maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. I'm somewhere in there, maybe 6 months. I don't know. And I turned around and he was smiling. It was Jason. And he said, "Hey, here's my sticker, man. I'm starting breeding. I'm getting going. It's cool to see you here. I like what you're doing." And I was like, "Man, that's great, man. I really appreciated it." And my son was like, "People know you?" And I was like, "I guess, man, he was the first person to ever recognize me." And then I started following him and seeing what he's doing. And now here we both are, like same kind of deal years later, So that's cool that you're vending with him, man.
Yeah, Jason is a real good dude, and that's right on brand for Jason, showing love, showing support, all that good stuff. I did just confirm August 9th and 10th for Southeast Reptile Expo.
Perfect. And then obviously there's the whole network. Where's your where and when is your flagship show running, and how often is that?
So Collects Conversations is the flagship show, the one we started with, like from day one. Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Very good.
Yeah, and I don't know if I touched on this earlier, but I am about to be making some announcements about kind of a different direction.
Oh yeah,
that we're taking the show.
You want to break any news? What do we got?
Stay tuned for that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm not at a point to where I want to fully announce it yet. But yeah, definitely stay tuned for that.
All right. And then usual suspects of Instagram, Morph Market. Everybody can find you under Herp Collectors.
Yeah, so IG Herp Collectors and Herp Collectors Network. So 2 pages there. You can obviously find us on Morph Market and YouTube, Facebook. We're on TikTok, but we're not on TikTok. And right. Then you can find us on all major podcasting platforms as well. And not only Clutch Conversations, but all the Herp Collectors Network shows you can find on major podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, all that good stuff. Very
good, Mike. I can't wait to see what you do with Clutch Conversations. I've always been impressed with how you evolve and grow and change. You know what I'm talking about, but I'm so happy we're both sitting here together doing this thing. I appreciate you being on the show. I look forward to doing it again. Not in 5 years. I mean, we'll do it again in 5 years. We'll do it before 5 years, but when another 5 years goes by, we'll be here doing it again.
Big facts.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. Thanks for the friendship, the camaraderie, and everything that you bring to the community. So I appreciate you, Mike.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. Always good to come on the show. Always good to chop it up with you, whether it's on cam, off cam. It's always a good vibe, and looking forward to seeing you sometime in the near future.
I was going to say, we got to figure out where we're going to cross paths, man. I'll definitely be at Tinley. I'm going to try. I don't think I'll make Daytona this year. I might. I don't think I will, but maybe I will. But
I'm thinking I might see you before Tinley.
Okay. Oh, yeah. We got, man, if we pull that off, it's going to be fantastic, man. We got to, we'll have to do like a joint announcement rolling that out. But yeah, I told him I'm in. I gotta get a few things in order, but I'm in.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there. I can't say what I have to get in order. That would ruin the surprise. But all right, guys. See you guys next week, and same place, same time. Got Shane from Small Town Exotics. Audience, thank you as always. Otherwise, it's just me and Mike, talking into cameras. So, cheers, everybody. See you soon.
Thanks, sir.